Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar with myself, Danusha Jolliffe from T-Vision Bevica, and also Jonathan Reeve from Livex. Hi. I can ask you to advance the slide.
Absolutely. There we go. There are beautiful photos of us too, Danusha.
So just for a quick introduction, I'm Danusha. I'm the marketing director here at T-Vision. I've been with the company 5.5 years now. And just to explain the connection between T-Vision and Bevica, we have been delivering Bevica a drinks industry and wine industry specific solution for the last 15-20 years or so, with a number of customers, and it's T-Vision that implements it and supports it, but the solution is called Bevica. So just to explain that for you. I'm going to be passing over to Jonathan from Livex, and he'll be taking us through the demo. We have had a few questions sent in advance, so as and when it's appropriate to ask them, I'll pop them in the, I'll pass them across to you, and hopefully that's all right.
Makes perfect sense to me. I look forward to seeing those. I hope they pop up, and if they don't, I'll shout, and maybe you can read them out.
No problem.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you for the introduction. That's great. So I guess we've learned a bit about T-Vision and Bevica there. So I guess my job is to tell you a little bit about Livex and what I do. So Livex is, in very brief, the global fine wine trading exchange. We basically have about 600 merchants around the world who are trading every day, many hundreds of trades. It was established in 2000, and today we have a very broad set of data and services based around the trading of fine wine. So that's essentially what we do. My particular role is head of automation. It's actually a relatively new role. We founded the automation team about 4 months ago. A little bit of the victims of our own success. That the automation world is definitely expanding. People are wanting to do many more things with their with automated processes and integrating with third-party softwares such as Bevica. So basically, we actually decided that we really have to carve out a completely dedicated team, and I'm now heading up that team. So that's who I am. So yes, I hope that all makes sense. And what we're going to cover today is basically explaining the partnership between Bevica and Livex. I'm going to sort of obviously focus on the Livex side of things, what our automated services are, and then explain how those automated services being within Bevica is good for you, what the benefits are, and a very brief explanation of a few visuals just to help you understand what that really means in real terms visually. So that's basically the next 20 minutes in 3 bullet points. The intention here is to keep it simple. This could definitely descend into a lot of technical speak, but my goal is really not to do that. It's to make sure that the benefits are explained at the business level, relatively simple, and we could explain a million different things, but really this is just about the key things that the two services do well.
Jonathan, ultimately, as and when someone wants that extra detail, then we can arrange that call with you directly. So this is, as you say, that brief overview, just to get people interested, just to tell them a little bit more if they don't know enough about Livex already.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, we'll be there to answer any questions you may have. Do send them in, and we'll get them answered for you. So, right, where to begin, really? I should just give a quick bit of background to explain how we got where we are today. It'll be just a 30-second part of history. Basically, the company Livex started in 2000. 2 stockbrokers, James Miles and Justin Gibbs, who spotted a gap in the market, really the need for the fine wine trade. They were both interested in fine wine, came from broking backgrounds, and they were used to exchanges and wine. And they basically thought that it would be a great opportunity for the wine merchants of the world to have a system which helps them trade wine transparently, efficiently, and safely. That is our sort of a bit of a tagline for the company. They started out with Excel spreadsheets and lots of phone calls, and then moved on to a basic UI on the web for our customers, for merchants to log into and trade with one another. And that's all over the course of the last 22 years now. And here we are in 2022 with a pretty developed set of APIs, which basically we have many different uses for them. But the main one really is making sure that we run our own services often, but making sure that our customers can plug their own systems into our data, or they can actually plug into third-party software who uses our APIs, such as Bevica. So that's a very, very brief part history of how we got from being a couple of guys with some phones and an Excel spreadsheet helping to make wine trading more efficient, transparent, and safe. And here we are today with a pretty developed technological setup and array of services. So underpinning all of this, I've got these 3 categories here. I'll talk you briefly through all of them and what they mean for wine businesses and how the automated version of these services works so well with Bevica. Talk a little bit about the present and also about the future things that we hope to do with Bevica. So underpinning everything Livex does, it's all about data really. Of course, the trading is fundamental because it generates the data ultimately, but the data underpins everything. It's the most basic thing we do. Through our APIs, we transfer lots of data. It's a technical term. Lots of data every day down to our customers, and the main bit of data that we send is valuation data and bids and offers and information about what's a wine worth today, who can you buy it from within our trading community. So the market data is what underpins everything. This is the first thing naturally that Bevica integrated with its system. The main goal being to help Bevica customers see their own stock, their own portfolio with market prices or last trade prices or Elwin data alongside it right there in the Bevica interface. So that's the first step of the relationship between the two companies. I'll talk a little bit more about Elwin. I mentioned Elwin just there. I'll explain a bit more about that in a second. So basically, the fundamental core of our integrated service is all about making sure that you as a customer, you as a Bevica user or a future Bevica user or a future Livex user can really see your stock with what it's worth in the market and various little bits and pieces of market data, who's trading it, and so on. The next bit I mentioned, the Elwin bit. So that's in the system because if you've got two wines that are similarly named or that could be easily confused in some other way, such as, for example, there's a very, very posh wine I'm sure we're all familiar with called Petrus, and there's also a beer from Belgium called Petrus, quite different price points. And if your non-automated or non-organized system decided it wanted to sell a bottle of the beer for the price that you might sell a bottle of the wine at, that gets rather embarrassing and causes some problems. So underpinning all of that semantic mess that human beings create by communicating through words is Elwin. So Elwin is basically a single number that identifies a product. In this case, we've used it to identify wines, and every wine in existence pretty much will one day have an Elwin. We're working our way very hard up towards everything, but for the moment we're actually on about 150,000 at the moment. What that means is that 150,000 of the top wines on the planet have a specific number with enough data to identify what that number means to a human being. That's what Elwin is. Having it in the system, having it in Bevica means that a customer can upload their stock list and they can have 50,000 different wines if they really want to, and they can have an Elwin number for each. And what that means is that when Bevica system says to Livex's APIs, please give me the market price of this product, there's no confusion. We know exactly which one it is, and everything's nice, efficient, and safe. So that's what Elwin's role is, and you'll see it later on in the screenshot that I've got of the Bevica system. Now, the third bit's trading, absolutely fundamental to what Livex is and does, but a little bit more complex in the execution. So this is an opportunity for the future for Bevica and Livex. And the idea there will be that you can actually trade with other Livex customers through your Bevica system directly. So there may be a little button that says, I want more of this wine at that price, click buy, or click bid, click sell, whichever way around you want to do it. So that's the hope for the future. We haven't done it yet, but hopefully after this webinar, there will be a flood of people asking for this service, and that'll give us clarification that this is really something that everybody wants. So those are the three key automated services and roughly how they relate to Bevica today. So that's the first little bit of this. And as I promised, I'll give you a little bit of a demo. So this is kind of the demo bit. It's always a bit risky doing a live demo on multiple systems at once.
Always.
Sorry.
So yeah, that's always the risk, isn't it? Internet connection or whatever it happens to be.
It can be, yes. I've definitely had moments in the past where screens are frozen, whatever's gone wrong. So I've chosen for this moment to do a few screenshots. And also, APIs are pretty dry, really. If you think about what they are visually, that no one ever really sees APIs except us tech geeks. So the average wine merchant wouldn't really necessarily need to ever see an API. So doing a visual demo of an API call just doesn't really work. So what I've done is put on screen here what you see when you're looking at Livex. And this is just to give you context of what, if you're logging into your Livex screen as a Livex customer, and you're looking up this wine, Sassicaia 15, that's what you see on the screen. Now, all of that is plugged into our systems from our underlying database using the same APIs that we offer to our customers and to our third parties like Bevica. So obviously this data needs to get there somehow. The APIs are what do it. And here is roughly what an API actually looks like if you, the closest a human can really get to it in any sensible way. This is an API output. So this is, there are two of our APIs here used to power our own screens and also Bevica. So in the middle of our database and Bevica, this is what is basically happening in a very sort of human interpretable way. And you can see that we've got the different kinds of pricing data we have, and also the name of the wine just to make sure a human can understand it, and then the LWEN to make sure the computers understand it. Those bits of data go into the Bevica system, and then basically what you end up with is the wonderful interface that Bevica have put together. So as a Bevica customer, if you are, and if you're not, give Danush a call. If you are, this is what you see when you upload your stock list, and you can have all this data in front of you, and you'll notice that there's market valuation down the bottom right, and there's LWEN 7 roughly in the middle, and there are various other bits of information too. And a lot of that's come from Livex APIs and is helping you to see what your stock is worth, what your correct identification for your stock in terms of the LWEN, and actually helps you get to grips with your stock a lot better. So it's a real contribution to the general management of any ERP. So that's what Livex is doing within Bevica, all behind the scenes, and there's a heck of a lot more we can do. It's just a question of actually knowing what the customers want, what our mutual customers really want to see in Bevica from Livex. So that's just the very, very super basic demo, intentionally simple to keep it all nice and quick. That's basically how it moves through from Livex APIs into Bevica. Danisha, does that make sense? Did that sort of ring a bell?
Of course, and one of the questions was, where specifically do those wine valuation numbers come from? You said they come from Livex, but where do they come from?
Got you. In the bottom right, you mean?
Yeah.
In the valuation bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so that number is pretty key. It's fundamental to what we do for our customers, and we call it the market price. We also have a last trade price. We have two different ways of looking at this. So because we have access to 600 plus merchants around the world, and they have a lot of wines listed at various different prices, obviously no one merchant becomes the definition of the market. It's always going to be a bit of a balance between the top, the low, the middle. So we take a very broad collection of the top merchants around the world for this particular wine. We remove any merchants from the calculation who we don't quite feel have consistent pricing. Maybe they price high deliberately, hoping to achieve high prices by chancing it, or maybe they're a little bit low because, I don't know, for whatever reason, they're trying to fast sell some stock because they need cash or whatever it's going to be. There's always a reason why there's a high and a low. And so our algorithms basically look at all these prices, factor in the last trade price, and so it's only coming from real prices actually advertised from the top merchants around the world. So that's the basic idea behind that valuation. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. So that's basically what you see in the value obviously you're getting through your Bevica system. And of course, we'll go on to benefits in a minute, but obviously this is a very good moment to mention the benefit of having that in there. It's two really. One is that if you're a company who recognizes the necessity, the benefit of having that price in your world somewhere, of knowing what the wine's worth that's in your stock, there are two benefits. One is knowing, did you pay too much for it, or how much you can sell it for, and making sure your profit margins are basically maximized so you as a business can make more money and be profitable as a business. The other part of that, of course, is the cost saving, the flip side of that, which basically having it in your system already using Bevica, using Livex, means that you don't have to go and gather it. You could spend a long time every day paying a staff member X £1,000s a year to go and gather this data and actually hunt around the web on various different websites or other sources you might use. And that costs a lot of money, paying someone to do that. There's also the risk of error, because if it's a junior person particularly, they might not know the difference between Petrus and Petrus. They might get a beer price valuation. It's an extreme example, but it could happen, which is about £5 a bottle versus many thousands of pounds a bottle. So that's the benefit of having it right there in your Bevica screen. So what does that really mean in terms of impact on a business? I like to think of the automation impact as three key ways, really. I like to think of it as always on. So it's always on, excuse me. It's always there in the background. Even when you and your team are asleep, it is there beavering away, gathering data for you. You can set it to schedule it to gather data at 3 in the morning, for example, so that when your team wakes up at 5, because they're really busy and dedicated workers, obviously, they already have all the data they need to do their day's trading, buying, selling, valuing, whatever it's going to be. It's always on, so even while you're asleep, it's still working. One of our customers who was doing the trading side of things with our automation said it was like having an extra salesperson. So they've kind of got a bit of both, really. They've got a bit of the next 2 bullet points down combined into one. So for them, it was kind of a bit of an increased revenue because they were making more money from doing more selling and buying, therefore increasing their profit margin and overall gross profit. And they were also reducing their overheads at the same time because they were doing that without having to pay the person to do it. So it's kind of like a free extra salesperson. So for me, the impact of automation really is those 3 things. It's that you can kind of go to bed relaxed knowing that actually something you bought, something that you've set up is working while you're not. And that it's not just buying, selling at a time when you're asleep, and actually it's getting better prices for you. Because if you go to sleep at 10 o'clock British summer time, and one of your customers is over in Hong Kong, they might be just waking up, or somebody on the west coast of the States might be just waking up, whichever time zone they're in. And if you weren't there to trade with them yourself, actually looking at your screen, you'd miss that trade. So the fact that it's always on means that you can set it to actually trade at that time according to what particular conditions you may put around the trade you want to execute. So you could say, buy Petrus if it's below this price within these other parameters. So it's always on, meaning you get increased revenue because you've got better profit margins, because you're taking the best opportunities in the market because you're asleep, the system isn't, and you're not even paying for it as a human resource because it's doing it automatically as a computer system.
I was going to say that international element is so important to everybody right now, post-COVID, and the global marketplace. This fits in really well.
Yeah, and at the moment we're very much international. So we have merchants on every continent. I don't know the exact number of countries, so I'm not going to attempt to guess it, but it's definitely in the tens. And we're developing our East Asia markets at the moment. We've got an entire team dedicated to Americas, making sure that that's looked after. We've got a very well-established European and UK base as well. So the fact that it's international means you've got that full spread. And just this morning, I was chatting with a customer over in Australia who's actually they're doing a pretty interesting thing where they're taking all Livex offers and actually advertising them on their own website and saying, look, you can come and buy this, which is attracting customers to their website. So truly very much an international business there. So that's roughly the automation impact. I think I kind of generally summarized everything that I had to say in terms of the benefits there, but really I kind of wanted to talk a little bit also about, it's not just globally that we have the breadth as well. There's an important factor to think about here, which is what is it you can sell on Livex. Obviously, we're a wine-focused company. We don't specialize in beers or ciders. So somebody asked me the other day, how broad's the marketplace? And Livex used to be known for very much Bordeaux. And we traded in a couple of hundred of the top end wines. That was a long, long time ago. Last year, I think we traded in 18,000 different wines. And this year, to date, I think it's about 13,000 so far. So I hope that sort of just gives an idea to anyone wondering, what is it I can trade? And this person asking what can I trade? How broad's the market? It was only after I actually hung up the phone I realized that the truth is actually it's as broad as you want to make it. You can list pretty much any wine on the planet on Livex and eventually get data about that wine. All you have to do is actually go on to the exchange and post it. So you can do that through your Bevica system one day. And obviously you can do it directly on Livex already. So for example, this morning about 6 a.m. I was just waking up, checking through what had been traded this morning. And just to illustrate the point, one customer just bought 4 cases of Mouton Rothschild 2019 and then sold 16 cases of Whispering Angel. So hopefully that disparity, that difference between those 2 products and the volumes involved gives you an idea of the breadth of trading and data that you can use, access, create, buy, sell, price through Livex. Does that all sound like it makes sense, Tanisha?
Yeah, certainly. And how long do you think it would take then to actually implement and get Livex working if you're a Bevica customer, and likewise if you're not?
Sorry, say again, I missed the last bit. Sorry.
How long do you think it would take to get the system working if you're a Bevica customer already, and likewise if you're not?
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Okay. Well, days and hours rather than weeks and months is the great news, because Bevica's already got those API services integrated, because all the tech's already been done. It doesn't take long at all to actually get you set up if you're a Bevica customer and you want to just add Livex bit in. So that's very, very easy indeed. As for getting yourself set up on Bevica, obviously that's always a complex one depending on what your needs are. But I know the Bevica team work very quickly, so I'd have to defer to you on exactly how long that would take to do a Bevica setup, but not very long is my guess. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, great. No, thank you. Yeah, no, again, I was just trying to understand how long that would work, but no, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah. No problem at all.
Well, have you got any other examples of perhaps activities that, obviously without naming names, that any of our Bevica clients, or any projects that you've worked on with them that you could give an example of, or any work or interactions that you've had?
Sure. So there are a couple of customers of Bevica. In fact, I was chatting with a developer who actually did some custom add-ons, which maybe we can get inspiration from in the future and actually use to inspire what we do together as two companies. So that customer was interested in getting a new thing we've done. That's maybe not new, but a year and a half old. It feels new in terms of Livex life. What we've created is a new service, two new services really, which allow our customers to get ABV data and commodity code data. Really, really important in the post-Brexit world because of the various extra legislation that are coming in. If Rishi Sunak's predictions or proposals come true for how he wants to do duty, there will be multiple different bans for how we tax alcoholic beverages based on their ABV. So what that will mean is our customers need alcohol by volume, ABV data for each product, and then a commodity code builder, which is basically what we've built into that system to help our customers basically be compliant with the new rules. So that's one service that could be plugged in. We haven't done that yet with Bevica. Maybe we will soon. And equally, critics data. We know it takes a heck of a lot of time for a lot of our customers. It's a very expensive process gathering together the data from critics, the reviews, the scores, so that they can put them on their websites to help them sell the wines. So we've now put in place a critics API, which basically we're kind of the infrastructure, and we connect the customer to the critic, and that's something that can be done through Bevica at some point as well. So that's two other nice examples, three really, different data points or data types that can be got through Livex if you're a Livex customer, and obviously we'd like to get that to Bevica as well. So if you're a Bevica customer, watch this space and we'll see what we can do for you.
Fabulous. Okay, is there anything else that you want to add, do you think? Or we've covered those three main points, and I think we've given the examples of how you can make more money using Livex, the significance of having Elwyn with Bevica. So is there anything else you wanted to add?
I think that really summarizes it. Yeah, and so the benefits of automation, save money, make money, always on is some bit of it. And where Bevica fits in is that Bevica is basically making that really easy for you to do, so you don't have to pay a developer lots of money to do it. It's right there already in your system. That really summarizes everything. If you were to distill down the Bevica Livex relationship and the benefits of it into a single phrase, that's probably it. And I guess that's kind of the most important thing for us to be sharing here today.
So great. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for taking the time today to tell us all about that. As I said earlier, if anyone is interested and wants to learn more, get in touch with me and we can arrange a call. As always, our webinars are available on demand. They will be on the website in the next day or so. And if anyone does have any questions, please do get in touch. So once again, thank you very much, Jonathan from Livex.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Anisha.
Thank you.